Good morning, students. Today we will discuss The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. It is a science fiction, and the setting of the plot is a village named Iping. So, the weather is cold in the village, and a strange man enters an inn named Coach and Horses. The inn belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Hall. The name of this strange man is Griffin, who has covered his body from head to toe with clothes and bandages. The whole body is covered, nothing can be seen, and he has a luggage which has big notebooks, unreadable documents, scientific instruments, and many bottles labeled as poisons. In his room, he works throughout the day and wants no disturbance in between his studies. He is all alone and stays there for 1 year. Griffin's behavior is also strange, and people in the village don't like him. They gossip about him and find him ghost like. Now, what happens is that there is a doctor in the village named Willingus. He finds out that his sleeves are loose with no hands in them. He's the first person who doubted Griffin. Then another doubt is when Mrs. Hall finds out that Griffin is not in his room. Some movement happens and a few things shake in the room. She sees here and there, but she finds none. But all of a sudden, Griffin appears. This also made Mrs. Hall that something weird going around in the room. Another incident was when the sound of bottles being broken came from Griffin's room. Villagers start to panic and no one knows what's happening. So from here everyone gets very suspicious about Griffin. As the story moves forward, Griffin gets annoyed, and when Mrs. Hall gets a little delayed in serving him breakfast, Griffin reveals his real identity as an invisible man. He takes off his clothes and becomes invisible. Mrs. Hall screams and rushes out of fear. Villagers also come to know about his real identity as Griffin. Griffin left the room and started roaming outside in the village. Here he comes in contact with a vagabond named Marvel. Marvel gets shot when he finds someone throwing a stone at him. Griffin finally convinces him. Griffin tells him that he is an invisible man and he wants him to help him with his luggage so that he can move out of the room. Marvel hesitates, but Griffin threatens him that if he does not help him with his luggage, he will do him harm. On the other hand, in the room, William Cuss is reading the documents, and as everyone had come to know about Griffin's invisibility, they all are behind Griffin. He already had created a lot of chaos in the village, beating the villagers, threatening people, so everyone is finding him. Griffin runs away and reaches town. Then he comes into fight with some men. There, he is shot with a gun by a few men. He is injured now and he reaches to a house. He rings the doorbell of the house, and this house is of Dr. Camp. The servant of the house checks who rang the doorbell, but no one is there. But Mr. Camp finds blood stains in his bedrooms on the floor and on the floor's handle. Dr. Camp becomes nervous. Griffin suddenly reveals his identity to Dr. Camp, saying that he and Camp met in a college in London. Griffin wants to take rest as he is very much tired. Camp recognizes him that yes, he and Griffin were in the same college. Mr. Camp serves food and cigar to him. Griffin tells the reason behind his invisibility. He tells that he researched light and optics and found out the means to get invisible. He tried it first on fabrics and on neighbor's cat. Both fabric and cat got invisible, but the cat's eyes and claws were still visible. One day he experimented on himself and he too became invisible. This made his life difficult. So he covered himself with clothes in order to be visible outside in the world. Meanwhile, Camp reads more about Griffin as an invisible man in the newspaper. Camp comes to know about that he is a devil and he steals and kills people. Griffin also starts enjoying the conversation and he tells that he really enjoys his invisibility as no one was able to see what he was doing. Taking advantage of this, he annoyed people and animals walking on the roads. He sets fire and did so many wrong activities. He threatened a shopkeeper and when he suspected him, Griffin mercilessly killed him. He became a criminal in a way. Camp, listening to all this, becomes aware of Griffin's immorality. Camp tells the police that Griffin is at his house, and after a while, they all came to the house searching for Griffin. Griffin escapes somehow by causing hurt to the colonel, a child, and many who came in the way. Griffin runs away, and finally, out in the town, police along with villagers rush to find Griffin to shoot him. The crowd catch Griffin and beats him to death. Now his dead body becomes visible. And with this, we come to the end of this novel Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. If you found the video helpful and want me to make another video on a novel that you like the most, let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the channel for more updates on English literature.